Might be able to use some of this bullshit, banter back and forth with Matt talking out of his ass.
Shut the fuck up.
Hey everybody, you listen to the Work For It podcast. My name is Brian House. And of course, you're going to hear some different voices on this episode. You're going to hear us discussing some different themes and topics. And you might be missing Pickle, you might be missing Brian Cohn. I don't really know. But here's what I do know. Today, we're going to work for it. We got Matt Bicker of DIY Europe. We've got Albert. And we've got Keith from knifematerial.at. These gents are all in other countries, except Matt is actually sitting right next to me because he's here in Florida and he's been visiting with me. So here's the thing. The two feeds are going to combine into one. I want you guys to listen to the Work For It Europe feed too. There's a ton of value in it. And then we're going to see if we can spread the love a little bit. But this week, right now, we are working for it. Let's go. Let's work for it.
Mind blown. 2 feeds, right?
That's it. 2 feeds.
There you go. Making it work around the globe.
Definitely.
Totally.
And you guys might want to do like just a quick intro for my audience. You know, you guys could explain, give us the elevator pitch of who you are and what you do.
All right. Let's start with Keith.
Yeah, with Work For It Europe podcast, we're basically working on the same kind of theme that Brian has been working on, but for the European market, introducing European knife makers and European companies that make knife making machines and grinders and all the things that we do over here in Europe that you Americans don't know about. So that's what we're all about for the last maybe, I don't know, how many episodes do we have? Like 25 or so? 30 maybe?
This is number 30, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Been going great, and it's the first actually English podcast in Europe that explains how knife making works throughout our different countries and all the languages and stuff that we have in English to try and
and it's like 2 people that have a business in supplying, and 3 actually that have a business in supplying. And then 1, a decent knife maker, 1, like a half-assed knife maker, and me.
Yeah, and 1 guy who actually knows what he's talking about, right? So
yeah, that's me.
When it comes when it comes to knife making, yeah.
I'm a Florida man now.
you can already tell a lot of bullshit in the background. The banter is good though, right? It's healthy.
Yeah, we fuck around a lot. Like I think a lot more than the original.
We try to keep work for, we the more we do the podcasting thing, we realize you have to, I see it like a volleyball game where I volley questions off to the guys and I ask them like, hey, what are you doing in your workshop this week? What do you have going on? And this and that and the other thing. And because, we try to focus on the listener and keep them happy, so that they can differentiate between everybody telling their stories about their workshops.
Yeah, sounds good. We like in the beginning, the episodes were just me and Keith. Those were awful to do because it felt very weird and very unnatural. And then we started introducing guests, which made it a lot easier. And then we got Albert to join us, and now I think we are on a very good vibe, where if we just do an episode, just the 3 of us is fine. If we have 2 guests, 1 of us drops out. If I can't make it, there's still a show every week. It's just, so Albert, tell everyone what you do.
So hi guys, thanks for having us. I'm Albert. I'm a full-time bladesmith here in Austria. At the German name is Salzburger Messerschmiede, but that's not gonna tell a lot or say a lot for the American listeners. But it's Salzburg Forge. We're 2 bladesmiths and we run a bladesmith shop here in Salzburg, Austria. And we do a lot of Damascus steel for other knife makers. we build various kinds of tools for knife making, and we do a lot of glasses and knives, obviously.
So, do we want to introduce the housemate to the Europeans, or
They know him.
Doesn't
Yeah.
everybody know
Right.
who I am? I mean, come on, at this point, But no, if you haven't heard of me before, I'm Brian House of Housemaid, and started this business 5 years ago. Started the Work For It podcast 4 years ago. We have 250 episodes or something in, and we have we primarily focus on business in the workshop, right? I mean, that's ultimately what we're all here doing. Is I'm trying to educate people who make things and how to make them and then how to sell them. That's the biggest thing, because a lot of these guys, they don't have that education. They might be really great at making something, but they might be introverted. So we developed this thing called the 50-50 rule, which is, you got 50% of your job is to make whatever it is you're making, and then the other 50% is to sell it. And some would argue that ratio is quite off. It should be 30% is making and 70% is selling, right?
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because it's super important. The sales component of this is important. But we start at 50-50 because I think that's a good balance for a lot of these guys who are doing this work, and gals. Essentially what Housemaid is we're a tooling company and we're a project-based company. But ultimately my goal now, my entrepreneurial goal, is to just inspire people to keep making. And if I can do that, I believe Housemaid will be successful and is successful and will continue to be successful. So that's our story.
Great story. And I agree on the 70-30 part. Because, making stuff, a lot of people can make stuff. Not that it's not a skill or that it's not important, but the selling part is, I think it's a dying art as well. Actually knowing how to sell in this day and age. So, the making part is for me, it's the easy part, and selling is way harder.
Yes, and I think it's a dying art in the world of making. It's not so much a dying art when it comes to say corporate world, right? And I think that's something that is inherently built into a majority of corporations now, and so people get very they get good at it from that aspect, but they don't apply it to their own personal building of a business. And I'm sorry, my microphone is doing weird things. I'm trying to adjust it here. I apologize. If we can get guys who are making things to learn how to sell and make it a part of their regimented routine, they become more successful. They make more money. It changes their lives, et cetera, et cetera. And that's an important component of it, because there's too many people that are just focusing on the product, right? I just want to make knives. And then here's my answer to that. Okay, great. You want to be an artist, and that's okay. But there's a reason we have this phrase called starving artist. It's because most artists don't know how to sell. So hopefully Work For It, the podcast in America, and Housemaid in general, it becomes the liaison between the two, and it teaches and educates people on how to do both.
Sounds like a needed thing.
I think that's a big issue in makers in general, because a lot of makers are really like hermits, and they sit in their workshop and they do their thing, and they make great products. But if you can't bring that product out and make it known in the knife making world or the maker world in general, then you're not gonna make it. And that's something that we have here with the WFI Europe podcast. We have a maker, we have two suppliers, we have a guy, Matt, makes things, and maybe he's not so good at selling, and maybe I was not so good at selling, and we all have our own advantages and ways that we make everything work. And I think between the three of us, we bring something to the community. Hopefully, we'll see how it goes. I mean, we're still fresh.
We just gotta keep going. get to
Yeah.
200 episodes.
Keep going. That's right.
Yeah, talking about Matt being bad at selling, he forgot to introduce himself. So, Matt, who are you?
Yeah.
What, to the Americans or to what?
Yeah, to
everybody.
to everyone.
I'm like the Brian House, but then European style.
You wish.
Yeah, what? It's what he said.
I know.
It's been said a million times. But no, yeah, I run DIY Europe, which is a tooling company that sells house-made products, some Baker Forge products, and some other knife-making stuff.
And he's like the best welder in Europe, right?
In the world. I mean...
That's what every welder says.
Brian saw it today.
I have a chance to witness the greatness that is Matt Bicker and his welding skills.
Until the
How was
Floridian power
good.
thing he started to do weird.
He's very confident, and he goes up to the welding machine, even though he's never used that machine. Very confident, very clean, good welds. I didn't have to hardly give him any tips at all. He just walked right up and did it. And it helps that he was making something that he makes in his own workshop, so it helps.
Yeah. And his dad was there. I saw Matt's dad, Jan, in a lot of videos.
Yes.
He's also pretty good at
yes.
everything he does, right?
Yeah, Jan is amazing. Yeah, absolutely. He is amazing and was able to just step right in. And what's interesting, okay, so just to set the stage a little bit for the audience who's listening, I have, after Blade Show last year, we did this thing called the Foundry, where we had industry folks come spend a week with us in our workshop, and make things with us. Okay. And we did a whole thing. It was built out like an itinerary. We rented a house for everyone. We couldn't do it this year. And then Matt says, well, I'm coming over and I'm going to bring my dad and, et cetera, right? And I'm going to, and then all of a sudden, Toby Murrell from Fire and Steel podcast, he jumps in and says, whoa, Matt's coming down, and can I come down? And then it was Bjorn from Nordic Edge, and then it was Jamie from Sausage Man Forge. And so there was a whole lot of people who jumped on that train too. So it kind of became an impromptu work for it gathering of a bunch of guys who are doing similar work, right? And it was kind of like a foundry, but it's not the foundry. It's essentially just a bunch of guys getting together, hanging out, making stuff. And what's funny about this is that they have the opportunity to go and enjoy Florida. Like they don't need to be in my workshop. They don't need to be, hanging out with me all day if they don't want to. And I've been giving them the freedom to do that, but you know where they always end up, right? They're ending up at my workshop. So,
Filling orders.
Yeah, it's pretty great to have them hanging out, and they're working. They want to work. I felt not obligated to put them to work. They wanted to work. So it's been great. And then yesterday we pressed out 100 swage blocks for the Scoop project, and today they welded up 20 ribbon burners. It's just a very easy flow. I can literally hand them anything and they can do it. It's amazing. So I'm having a great time having you guys in my workshop and working with me. Tomorrow's the last day, so everybody will go home tomorrow and Friday. But it's been a great time.
Yeah, I agree. It has been a great time. It still is.
That's quite an amazing feat to have people from all over the world come into your shop and just like kind of work together.
It's pretty funny because you have like two Dutch guys, then you have a guy that is from Australia but lives in the UK, then you have a guy from Norway but that lives in Australia, then you have Sausage Man is just that's a whole different story. You can like dedicate an entire podcast to that man and you'll die of laughter. This guy's so funny. I've never met, like, my dad was telling me this morning, my fucking stomach just hurts from laughing all the time. When you're around that guy, you're just laughing your ass off all the time.
Sausage Man he's epic. I mean, I've only met him one other time. I met him at Blade the year before, but just briefly. And now that I've been hanging out with him, he's just like a salt of the earth type guy, but he's hilarious. Tons of stories. He looks like Gimli from The Lord of the Rings. I mean, it's just it's amazing. I feel like I have like a famous actor running around my workshop. And he loves to blacksmith, so he's banging out steel constantly whenever he can.
Yeah,
And he's cooking sausages and bringing everybody together, right?
This is his shtick. He tells this story, and he said he came up with Sausage Man because he went camping a few times, and of course, when you go camping, you're around a lot of other people, and he said that all of the people he was with were annoyed because all of these other people were playing loud music and so on and so on. So they kept telling him, go over there and tell them to be quiet. And he's like, you're crazy. They're going to punch my face in, right? Like, I'm not going over there. So then he comes up with this idea that he's going to cook a bunch of sausages in a pan, and he's going to use that as his key to unlock, grease the skids, as we say in the Americans. Grease the skids, and hopefully they'll be cool. So he goes over there with a pan of sausages. He gives away all the sausages, and then at the very end he says, would you mind keeping it down a little bit? We got kids over here and it's loud and everything else. Of course. They're gonna oh, no problem. Yeah. Oh, you're the guy with the sausages. And so now he's applied that exact same concept to Blade Show. And everywhere he goes, he just brings sausages with him, and it works.
Amazing.
He's a phenomenon, man. It's just, and the most epic thing is, I think the exact wording is he comes over to you with a pan of sausages, and then he asks, like, do you want my fat, juicy sausage in your mouth? and then you're like, yeah, well, that's just legendary.
You guys got to have him on. You should bring him on for sure.
Yeah.
No, I've been following for a while on Instagram, and it's like the same kind of vibe. I mean, that's the vibe that goes through the whole entire making community, or knife making community at least. Everybody's so helpful and willing to share their secrets, and that's one of the things that I always enjoyed from you, Brian. I've been following you since you started, and been listening to your podcast and stuff, and it's just great how everybody shares everything with each other.
There's no reason to sequester your ideas. There's enough work for everyone, and I fully believe that we're better when we collaborate. I've always said that, and I believe it, and I will always hold that to be true. Steve Jobs said, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And when you do any hobby or you start a business or something, there's a lot of industries where they don't share that same mentality. Everyone keeps their ideas close to their chest. They don't want to share. And in the knife making and metalworking business, we share ideas and concepts amongst each other, even though we would be known as direct competitors. We still help each other out. And I even had a competitor call me one time and ask me if they could use one of my ideas, something that I had come up with. And they called me and said, hey, we want to add that to our grinder. Can we do that?
At least they asked.
They asked. Yeah, I think they would have done it anyway, even if I said no.
Yeah,
but
right.
They would have done it anyway. But at least they asked. And that's the kind of people that who does that anymore? Who's going to do that? So I love the metalworking community, and you can really see it too. When if you ever go to Blade Show, you can see the camaraderie, the brotherhood. It's not just that you go into your workshop and you make something, or you make a knife, or you make a piece of decorative steel, whatever it might be. You're a part of a brotherhood. You're a part of a team of men who share what I've found is one common trait amongst us all, and is that we are curious humans. We want to learn as much about our environment and our tools and the things that we do as much as possible. So we're always learning. We have a thirst for knowledge. And because metalworking is such a diverse thing, I don't think we could spend 3 lifetimes and never learn everything. Mm. And I think that's the reason why we all get along so well.
It's also like a brotherhood, and then, but it's like a brotherhood of I don't know. It kind of reminds me of like a group of like weirdos, you know, that all have the same, misfits or something, you know. It's just, yeah, it feels like home, and I'm not at home, so, but it feels like home.
It does feel like home. It feels like family, right?
Yeah.
Like, not to bring up the Blade show too much, but when we're sitting in the pit and we're all eating together, you know, everybody's together.
Yeah, exactly that.
It feels like these men are your brothers.
Exactly.
Right? You get that feeling?
Yeah,
when you were there?
I did.
Yeah, I think I mean, Albert's been to shows with me and Matt, and you get that feeling immediately when you go to a show. Mm-hmm. It's like you've known these people forever.
Yeah, and Solingen was the same. It's the same feeling.
It's a pretty good feeling, actually. It makes you feel less alone in the world. Because I don't know about you guys, but I felt like the black sheep of the family. You know, everyone I would talk to in my family during the holidays, they would look at me and they'd go, "What do you do? What is this now?" You know, they don't understand.
You're not working for another, like for a boss? Or what are you doing online?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
That will never work.
So what about your actual job?
Weapons.
What do you do to make money, though? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had the plan to not really talk a whole lot about Blade Show because I think that's something everybody's gonna do. But yeah, I think shows are really great. I always feel when I come home back from a show, even if it's only one day, it's like you feel like you just have like this connection with everybody immediately, and it's a really great feeling. The knife community is awesome.
I told my dad, I was like, if Keith had his booth here, he'd go, like, oh man, like you'd still have one of the biggest booths, I think. House, the amount the amount of well, I saw like his booth in Solingen, and I know what else he has. So what he's not taken to the show, like in Blade show, he would. I think he would be the biggest with all the handhelds. It's like all the stuff he sells. It's just insane.
What was tripping me out was I was seeing my machines in my grinder and the forge right at those shows, and I didn't build them. And it was like someone else had built them, you know what I mean? And they were sitting in a really beautiful arena with, you know, everybody's walking by. And it made me feel like we've really done something here. You know, there's an impact. All over the world, these machines are built and forges are built, and it changes the lives of the people who use them. And so when seeing those videos of your setup, Keith, it was so cool to see how that all kind of worked out at those shows. What is that? Did you guys get that same? I know you were saying that you felt the same way at those shows in Europe. And all the Europeans and Australians now that I've met that are in this, they seem to be the same, right? I mean, it seems like it's a common thread, regardless of where we were born.
Yeah, of course. That's what I meant. The vibe is the same. I mean, you like from every corner of the world. It's like that doesn't matter as much. It's like we all share the same like weird passion for.
Yeah. I mean, for me, from day one, I like my first show. I invited Albert. Albert makes the Damascus steel, and he makes some knife vices for me and other various tools and things. And the very first show I ever went to, I invited Albert. He should come. You have your tools. Join me. We can do something together, and we can all make some money. We can all meet people. That's just the vibe that I've always had from the beginning. Is like the same way that you do it, Brian, and. For the last show that we did, I invited Matt, and he came. That was his first big show, and he got a chance to see Solingen, and the biggest European knife show. I mean,
okay, so if you want to compare like things,
you can't compare that to Blade Show. I know.
No, but just for your info, there's like a massive. I don't know the length and the width of it, but there's like a massive room, and then there is the small room.
Yeah.
And the small room is like triple the size of Solingen.
Yeah, the Solingen
It's-
was the same size as the bathroom at Blade Show.
Seriously, dude, it's just insane.
Yeah,
Yeah, the sheer size of it is just
man.
it's pretty it's quite a thing. Yeah, for sure.
unfathomable, yeah. I don't know. It's really great. It's really great what they do, but I can't imagine all the things that go around in the background, like to organize that and to organize bathrooms and to organize food and to organize all the crap that goes around. It's just
I
can't even comprehend that.
The cop handles all of that, right?
Yeah, the Cobb Galleria where it's held, they handle the hospitality side of things. And then, Blade Show has their own organizers that put on the show itself. I think we looked it up this year. There was over 11,000 people that attended the show. And it's just it's a massive place. And what I like to take away from Blade Show, and this will be the last thing I say about it, but is that almost all of the business done in that room, the commerce that's going on in there, a majority of it happens in the pit later that night. So amongst the vendors and amongst people, the industry folks, you get a chance to smile and hang out a little bit during the show, but then the rest of it is done in the pit, right? And we're all just talking and hanging out. And so it becomes networking. Exactly. It's the same. It's like any other conference, but everybody's at that point is not working, quote unquote. They're not selling to the customer.
Exactly. So if I walk over Blade Show, and you see there's a cool knife maker, and then you're not going to have an entire conversation at his booth because he's selling stuff. You don't want to be in the way. So whether it's like, hey man, how you doing? And then see you tonight in the pit. Yeah, okay, see you tonight. And then later in the pit, then you can have the actual conversations.
Yeah, and that's probably where a majority of the business all happens is right there. Yeah. So, hey, just so you guys know, I don't know if you're interested at all in listening to what I've got going on in my workshop, other than having all these crazy Europeans and Australians. But we are working on a couple of really interesting things. We're working on a skillet project. So what I've learned is that knife making is fantastic. I love it, but I'm trying to educate my audience and show them that there's more to. You have all these tools, right? You have you're available to work on all these different tools in your workshop and everything else. I want them to say, hey, I can make other things too that have similar margin, right? It doesn't have to just be sharp and pointy, right? So we're doing a scoop project, a spatula project, and a skillet project, and we've been working on that for a while. We did release the scoop project, and that has been wildly successful. I never thought so many folks would want to make a coffee scoop. Turns out they do. And so we're doing that. And then the next will be a spatula. And then eventually, hopefully, I can get this skillet project off the ground. And what I'm doing is, and I've said this before, is that I really want to become the Martha Stewart of the DIY community, right?
Yeah.
I do. And I have a tremendous respect for Martha. I think her work is amazing, and a lot of people don't know this, but she didn't start Martha Stewart Living until she was in her 50s. She was older when she started that company. So, anytime I talk to anybody about they'll say, I'm too old to do this, or I'm too young to do this. It's like, no. You're not. You're using that as an excuse. So you're blocking your own success. And so when I look at Martha Stewart, I have a ton of respect for her because later in life, she decided she wanted to start this brand. She wanted to build this brand. And building a brand is insanely difficult now because there's so much delusion out there. There's so many people out there who have started brands, and you're amongst a sea of different brands. It's very hard to stand out. And what Housemate has managed to do is that. So we've already got that one foot in the door, right? We get the door slightly open, and we're saying to ourselves, okay, we have all these customers building grinders. We have all these customers building forges and using our tooling and everything else. And that's a fantastic thing, and we love that. But now we want to keep them making. We want to keep them working with their hands. So how do we do that? We have to inspire them. We have to create these projects. And believe it or not, a lot of these guys are weekend warriors. They don't, they have day jobs. They can't be, even making a knife for some of these guys from start to finish may take weeks because of the process. It takes so long to create something. But if I can give them something easy to manufacture, something that's beautiful but doesn't take a lot of time, they can create and sell that and make a margin on that. So we did that with the coffee scoop project. And I had no idea that I would sell as many as I did. And so now I'm looking at it going, okay, the sky's the limit. We can create anything now. Yeah. Let's think about that. Kitchen tools, all these cutlery tools, anything that people use on the regular, we can now do that.
It's also it's kind of in the same like if you go like a step beyond, you make tools for knife makers. Knife makers make knives for people that buy knives, and those people also I would buy a knife, but I would also buy a carbon steel skillet. I would also buy a coffee scoop, like a handmade coffee scoop. That's just stuff that's for the average person that buys a knife would also be inclined to buy a skillet so in Brian's case, he's just becoming like the source of he's like expanding the products that knife makers can make to sell to their customers.
Yes, that's how I see it. And I think what I'm doing is I'm solving the problem that is the creativity side, because a lot of these guys are very creative, but they would, to develop a coffee scoop or like a cool design might take them some time. Mm-hmm. And I'm also empowering them to step outside of their comfort zone a little bit. Yeah. Because, a lot of these guys are thinking, well, making knives is a very manly endeavor, right? We're beating on our chests like the silverback gorilla, right? And we're making these sharp, pointy things, and that's fun, and that's cool, and that's manly. But let's not forget what we really are. We are artisans, and we're making things that are beautiful and functional all at the same time. And what I think I've done is I've given the permission to an entire generation of makers to think outside and away from the sharp and pointy thing, so that they can go off and develop these other things. And it's giving them the freedom to do so. And then also handing them the keys to it, right? And saying, like, here's a really easy way to do it. And, the margins are good. You can sell them and they're fun to make. Or you can buy a whole production pack and start and do a class where people come to your workshop and make them with you and pay you for that experience. There's all these little branches of things that can go on that can generate revenue for your business. And we're going to just keep doing that.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point. As a knife maker, you like really fight. First of all, you're fighting for notoriety, I guess, to be a knife maker. And I make knives, and I do this, and I can make a living from it. And you really focus on that. But you have all the tools, just like you said, to make all kinds of other things. And if you don't consider that, you're losing out on a big market, I guess. There's a lot of people that are looking for things that are handmade. I mean, all the knife makers do it. Albert, you guys have a big workshop and lots of presses and tools, and you have classes, and all the people that come in to your classes might only be interested in a class that lasts 2 hours, where they can make a coffee scoop, or they can make an ashtray, or they can make. Yeah.
You see what's happening here? So
I love it.
No, but that's the thing. You have all the shit. You just need the dies, and then you can make skillets or coffee scoops, and you can. I mean, how many classes do you do on average?
2 Damascus forging classes a month, and knife making classes as many as we can squeeze in. Yeah. But we thought about adding additional classes or types of classes to our lineup, and of course also making a frying pan or something like that was on our radar. But here's what I wanted to say to Brian. I mean, it's not just that you help people or support them, other makers, with your creativity, but you're enabling them to make a living with their products they're making, right? Because just with making knives, in my opinion, almost impossible to survive. You're not going to make a living making knives, usually. You usually have to have some kind of side business. So whether it's classes, making steel, making tools, whatever. But only with making knives, it's almost impossible to make a living, I think. So, and what you're bringing to the communities, you're supporting them by offering these dyes and other tools so that they can make additional products they can sell to the same target audience, which usually buys knives, right? So it's very beneficial for all the knife makers out there, I think. Also for us. So we want to have these dyes.
See?
Matt, bring them with you.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of outside the box thinking, I think, is where I excel. And so, I just start thinking like, all right, all these guys out there making things, let's give them the tools they need and the ideas that they can branch out. Because you're right, it's really tough to make a living just selling one thing. My first business was a soap company. I made soap, and I realized real quick it takes a lot of $5 bars of soap to make the rent. It just was really tough, and so we had to branch out. We had to create all these different items and products and everything else. And I was in my mid-20s when I started that first company. I learned a lot, and then I folded it. I couldn't keep it open. I just couldn't. But that failure was an education. I learned a lot doing that. I knew I wanted to be in business for myself. I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And of course, I started a computer company, and I did that for a lot of years. And again, that company never really made any money. I mean, we were really scraping by. Even 15 years in, we were just kind of barely making it. It was very stressful. I just disliked the work. So, towards the end, I was burnt out. I did not like it. I had created this business that many on the outside thought was successful, and it was really struggling almost every day. And I'm terrible at managing people, so it was just the human element that I'm not good at. And then when I started Housemaid as a hobby, I realized like, this is me. This is what I want to do with my time. So how can I make money at this? I liked making content. I enjoyed the YouTube stuff, Instagram, and there's just very little money in content creation unless you're making viral videos on the regular, which can be very difficult. So to branch out and do a product wasn't that difficult for me to create the Revolution grinder plans and the product there. And then from there, it was just like, okay, what's next? It fit me so well that I forgot it was work. It doesn't feel like work. I wake up every morning with purpose and passion. I enjoy what I do. I enable others. I empower others. And it's like just hands down, this is where I belong. So if you are listening to this and you can identify with what I'm saying, I think that the important takeaway is that you're not caged like an animal. You can break free. You can step outside of what you're doing, but you need to make those choices and calculate your risks and everything else, and then you can go off and you can do something that you enjoy, that's purposeful and meaningful for your life. Especially as men. I mean, think about this for a second. Men are built for utility, right?
Yeah, gotta do shit.
Right. And we're, in almost every culture, we are treated as such. Yes? Your worth is based upon your ability to make money.
Yeah.
Right? And because that's now like how we gauge someone's value to society. And if you don't make money, you'd be considered a liability to society. Society has to help you. Which at times of your life is okay. When you're young, you're being helped, and when you're old, you're being helped. But right in the middle, we are in our money-making years, right? And we're supposed to figure this out. And a lot of us go to work for other people, and we have a schedule and all of that. But there's guys like me, in particular, who cannot subscribe to that idea. Like I'm a true entrepreneur. I'm unhireable. You cannot employ me. I do not play well with others. And it's in that regard anyway. And so I learned very quickly that that's a hard road. That it's a tough road to do this. But I love the road and I love the journey and I push myself, every day. So.
Yeah. So basically, Albert, you're gonna have to get into the skillet game and the coffee skillet
will.
game.
That.
We will.
Well, would be fucking crazy. Like it, I think it would work.
I think so
I think so too.
I think so too. Yeah. I think anywhere that's the one thing, right? What's the one, other than knives, you need pans. You know, you need scoops,
Cutting boards.
Cutting boards. You need all these things.
He already makes cutting boards.
Think about all this.
I can make cutting boards. I don't do them anymore.
Fucking hell, I have a great cutting board of you.
Yeah, but that was the last one I made.
Well, I want a skillet with it now.
Yeah, I'll make you one.
And then throw in a knife, please.
Albert, what country are you from? Where do you live?
Austria.
Oh, Austria.
Central Europe.
Okay.
Mozart.
Yes.
The promised land.
Very
The
good.
promised land. Yeah.
Well,
actually, Mozart was born in Salzburg.
Okay.
That's where we are. Yeah.
I love that.
Keith, you wanted to say something?
No, it is the promised land. But
Okay.
but we also have all these opportunities and the possibilities of expanding what we do. I mean, especially for you, Albert. I mean, I'm a distributor, supplier. I sell handle materials in Damascus and all these kind of things. But you do classes and you have a workshop, and hopefully you get a new workshop that's big enough. Albert's going to be moving soon. Big enough that you can expand all these things. And you've also just recently gone full time. And I think if you only focus on, just like Brian has been saying, if you only focus on knife making, it's a tough road.
Yeah. I've never only been.
Yeah, I
focusing
know.
on
I know.
that.
I know that's why I've been dealing with you since day one,
Yeah.
working on tools and materials and Damascus and every which way that we can go.
I mean, it's the fun part of our business in the creative realm. We can be creative in all kinds of aspects. So we can start building new tools, doing new whatever products, whatever we want to do. So that's part of the fun. But at some point, you have to do it, right? So, of course, we have shitloads of ideas.
Yeah, but it's just
But
like
you have to do it, right? So you have to make working prototypes, and then you have to do more than one, and you have to get your shop up and running to do like a small production run of whatever you do if you want to make money. So, but we are not short on ideas. Trust me. Yeah.
No, but ideas. Everyone has ideas. Not everyone, but it's like taking it to the next level.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think ideas is one thing. It's the execution that's the hard part, right?
Yeah. And that's where your stuff helps a lot of people, Brian.
Yes,
So,
I thank you for saying so. Thank you so much.
Grinder, Apollo Forge, whatever you do, it helps.
They have all of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Albert, I'm curious. You're the Ox Tool
Yeah.
Forge guys, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm putting it all together now. Yes, I love your stuff. This is great.
Thanks. Yeah, we started with the knife vise, and that's I don't know exactly when it was. I think 2 or 3 years ago. That was the first time I texted Keith.
Probably
Because
3
I
years.
asked-
Yeah.
3 years, yeah. Because I asked him if he wants to sell our knife vise. I texted him on Instagram, and then he came by, tested it, and has been selling it ever since. Yeah. So that's how we started with the vise.
It's always that one project that kind of breaks the ice, right? You know, you get the
Yeah.
you start making tools, you make one tool, and then everybody likes it, you perfect it, you know, and then another tool and another tool come along, or another project, whatever it might be. And I think you just kind of boil it down to, you get good at coming up with an idea and then learning how to manufacture it, then learn how to sell it, and learn how to ship it. And then you just do it again, wash, rinse, and repeat. Keep going.
Yeah. And I think over here, it's like we're already doing. It's like we have to combine forces, you know, to how do you say that? Yeah, if we like join forces in a way that we help each other out, like we're doing, instead of trying to fuck each other over like other companies are doing to each other, it's way more beneficial for everyone.
What I've learned is if you can collaborate, even with people who would be seen as your competition, it is a good thing. And the reason is because animosity amongst competitors, what you do is you tend to focus on what they're doing instead of running your own race. And to keep yourself from being distracted, find a way to collaborate. Okay. I have customers all the time that message me about certain things, and I'll send them to a competitor. I'll say, I don't do that, but these guys do. You should go to them, talk with them. What I've learned in business too is that karma, the good karma, it does come back to you. And the guys who are doing it the old school way, who are talking shit all the time about their competition, they're putting the other guy down, they're doing all these things. That comes back to hurt them now, because business is done in a much different way. I think the smart consumer will see that you're not trying to, create a negative environment for your competition. You're basically just saying, I have this product and here are the benefits of my product. And,
That's it.
Do your own educate yourself, do your own research. And if you find that my product is better than theirs, or my price point is better, or whatever, hey, cool. We'd love to have your business. We would love to have it. But no way will I ever bash my competition just to get a sale. That is not how I believe it should be done. You should really approach everything like, listen, I'm not gonna tell you what's wrong with theirs. I'm gonna tell you what's good about mine.
That's it. Make your own comparison.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Brian, for our European listeners, what you just explained, what was the first product that brought you into the knife making machine or knife making product? I think was it the grinder, or how did you really get started?
Yeah, it was the grinder, the Revolution 2x72 belt grinder, which is a kit. It started out as a plan set because I didn't know anything about manufacturing 4 years ago. I had never done that before, but I made my first prototype using a skinny wheel, like just a cutoff wheel on an angle grinder, and my old 1986 Enco mill, and made my first 2x72 tilting belt grinder. I was very excited about it. I shared the entire process with the world, the few who were watching my work back then. And I think that my excitement was contagious. People saw what I was doing. They could relate. They couldn't afford a heavy-duty machine. Go to a manufacturer and spend $3,000 to $5,000 on a 2x72 belt grinder. I could not afford it back then, and a lot of guys couldn't either. So they were watching what I was doing, and they said, I'm posting all these videos to YouTube, and they're all saying, hey, I'd like to build one of those. How do I do that? How would I build one? And then I said, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'll try to develop a PDF document that would walk you through the build. And my wife, Sarah, she's a marketing person, so she understood all the technical details that went into something like that. Started an email newsletter to get people excited and signed up for it. And that Christmas, I released like one of the final videos. This would have been like in 2018 or 19. I released a video, and it went to 250,000 people watched me finish that grinder. And then we had about 2,000 people on our email list at that point. And then the following February, I released the plan set, and I woke up that morning to $12,000 in my account.
Fucking hell.
The next morning. Yeah. And I went, I've never made $12,000 in one day ever. Not one time, ever. And
this is releasing, just remember, that's releasing a PDF. That's putting something online, people click it, and they give you money.
Right. So there's no exchange other than them. It was automatic, Yeah. And I thought, this isn't right. This can't be right. Not this many people purchase this. And it was right. And so, and then of course, fast forward into the future, I started working with manufacturers. All these people came out of the woodwork and wanted to work with me. You know, they wanted to create the plans. They wanted to take the plans and create the parts. So I had to learn all about, you know, DXF files and step files and CAD and all of these things. And mind you, my first set of plans for the Revolution, it was designed in a program called SketchUp. It was made by Google, which is actually not even a CAD program.
I've seen it. It was horrible.
It was
like
awful.
Compared to now, but fuck.
It's terrible.
Do you still have that file?
Well, now I use Fusion, so
Yeah, of course, but
much better at it now. But
that file would be like it should be like in a museum somewhere.
Yeah, it should. It's really, because it's so bad. It's terrible, and people were very happy with it.
Yeah, of course.
So I was very excited that we started Housemade that way, and then as time grew on, we realized, okay, of course the pandemic helped because everybody was home, they wanted things to do, and we created that we enabled a whole bunch of people to create a grinder so that they could start making things in their garages. And from there, it went on. And the Apollo Forge came later, and all the attachments and all the things we make now. And of course, now I have my own CNC machine with 4th axis, and I love it. I enjoy it so much. I am blessed with hard work every day, and I love it.
Sky's the limit with that thing.
100%. Let's go.
Yeah,
Keep going.
But what brought you to that point? Because beforehand you had a company, successful or unsuccessful. I'm not really sure how the computer company went. But why? What made you all of a sudden think one day I need to make a grinder for knife makers?
Yeah, I had there's a gentleman. His name was Dan Komu. He started this website, DC Knives, and I kind of got sucked into his YouTube channel. I'm watching all these videos on knives, and it fascinated me that people were making knives. You know, I'm like, who makes knives? You know, you could just go to the store and buy one. But then I got sucked into it on YouTube, and Alex Steele, of course, you know, watching him work. And I wanted to mimic that. So I wanted to do something like that. I was very inspired by that. So Dan Komu created a plan set for a very rudimentary grinder, and I built it. And I was using it at my workshop, and I was trying to do something not safe, and I threw a knife into my apron using my grinder. And luckily I wasn't injured, but it scared me. You know, it scared me a lot. So I realized that I needed a grinder that had better tracking and, you know, more adjustability. And that's what brought me down the road of developing the Revolution, was that, you know, I was using this, you know, very rudimentary grinder that I had built out of tube steel, but you could not get it to track. There was tracking mechanisms, very rudimentary. And you can kind of look at the progression on YouTube, and you can really see it's so funny.
Go to its first videos, and the one where you use like the treadmill motor and stuff. It's just like you do everything with an angle grinder and a fucking cordless drill, and just yakking at it. And look where you're at now, fucking 4-axis and milling machines and 3D everything.
Yeah, and I had no experience, none. With that.
And it all started, that's funny, because you know what's funny, I started and I reached out to you because I needed a grinder. I wanted to build it myself, but I couldn't find a kit here that was decent. So it just starts when you have like I think the right English for it is entrepreneurial mindset, and you need something, and when you find it, you're like, but if I can't find it, other people can't find it.
That's
you
right.
know, and then it just starts going, and
your mind starts saying like, why wouldn't I team up and do this with them?
If I can't find it, other people can't find it.
I mean,
that's right.
That's why I started my business.
Yeah, I know everyone starts a business like that.
I came from America, and I was like interested in knife making, and I was doing it on the side, and like I couldn't find this, I couldn't find the G10, I couldn't find handle material, I couldn't find steel or all the shit that I wanted, and I'm like, well, if I can't find it, then nobody else can either. So let's start. I mean, that's exactly that's how it was. That's how it started.
It's often the case.
You have to find the space between the markets, I think. And once you do that, you realize they're everywhere. You just have to be in tune with them. You have to start thinking in terms of, what's that niche look like? And we do that all the time. Like, or now we have the power to create the niche, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And because of so many people watch what I do now, so they see the things that I'm up to, and they go, I'm inspired by Brian making a fucking coffee scoop, know, and then and all of a sudden now all you see online is coffee scoops everywhere, and it blows my fucking mind. I blown away by this.
You know what I was thinking the other day? I was like, he's not like you always say, like, you're solving a problem. But you're basically, you're not creating, but you're solving a problem people don't know they have.
Yes, I think that's true.
That's basically what's going on. It's like you don't know that you need a skillet yet, but you need a skillet.
Everybody needs a skillet.
Yeah, and I'm making skillets. So
yeah, guess what? Yeah, exactly. Welcome to the company store, right? That's it.
Yeah, really funny.
So do you guys do like a dad joke on this podcast?
We can do now.
Oh, we can. I got one for you.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
But I'm gonna try not to mess it up though.
Also, this is the first joke Keith ever made on the show. So
my whole life's a joke. But anyway, I think I said this one to Brian before. Let's see if I can remember it. Yeah. What does a robot say after a one-night stand?
Oh, what?
I already screwed it up.
Why?
Brian, I sent it to you a few weeks ago. That's not how it started. Yeah.
Is it in my Instagram DMs?
Yeah, probably. So you haven't read it yet. It's not what he says. We'll have to, Albert, you have to edit this out.
No.
Do you know why there are no knock jokes about America?
No.
Because freedom rings. It doesn't knock, it rings.
Oh,
that's
wow.
Right.
That's good.
I can hear the eagle screeching.
I was told not to steal the kitchen utensils, but it's a whisk I'm willing to take. Whisk I'm willing to take.
Do you have like your dad joke book over there?
I do. I have it sitting right next to me. I have an entire collection of dad jokes.
Exactly.
That's really funny. So, in the meantime, Keith, I think I want to... Do you still have that awesome Pelican Paste ad? Not the terrible one, the awesome one.
No, I have the good one. Do you want to hear it?
I hope that we're talking about the same one.
I mean, Brian, you also work with...
I do work with Pelican Paste.
It's a great thing.
We have a famous YouTuber helped us out.
Is he famous?
Is it Honor Kaglar?
Go ahead.
Is he famous though? I don't know.
He is quite famous.
We'll play the ad. It takes a couple seconds though. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
If you take pride in your knives,
Oh no!
you
Fuck
know
off!
that proper care is essential.
Stop with this bullshit thing.
That's why I want to introduce you to Pelican Paste, an all-natural 100% food-safe wax. Perfect for maintaining your prized blades. Crafted with all-natural ingredients, Pelican Paste is free of chemicals,
Stop.
petroleum, and unnecessary additives. So if you're looking for the best way to keep your knives well-maintained, give Pelican Paste a try. Your blades will thank you. Now, let's get back to the show.
Don't ever use
So
that
who
again.
was that? Who was that
Don't
saying this?
ever use that again. That's not the one I was talking about.
That's Travis Haynes.
No.
That is not Travis Haynes.
He used fucking AI for...
It's AI. Oh, I like that. That's
No.
cool.
Can you please... I want to give Toby some grief later when we're having dinner. So play the right one.
I have to say the other one is horrible.
No, it's
and
perfect.
we're not allowed to use it anymore because he threatened to sue us.
No, I will. I'm like physically. I can physically punch him in the face. Come on.
No. either way, Pelican paste is awesome material. They make
is.
hard wax, a soft wax. They make shop hands. They got what's the liquid one that I haven't tried out yet? But I
You mean the one
try
that's in my suitcase? The Pelican oil?
Yeah, mine is at home. Home. It's mine. Mine's in America. I'm gonna get it in July, and I can't wait to use it because I use that kind of stuff on my handle material all the time to take pictures. We'll see. We'll see how it works out. But
So Keith,
Travis is a great guy.
I found the dad joke that you sent me. It's
Yeah. Please fix it for me.
What does a robot do? I don't know what's going on with my microphone here. Okay, let me start that over. What does a robot do after a one night stand?
What does he do?
Nuts and bolts.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
That's so bad. It's so bad. It's good.
That's a very bad one.
It's so bad. It's good. It's so bad. I love it.
So, Keith, for my info, you're really not going to play that thing? Because you're scared that they're going to sue you?
Yeah, I'm not scared.
Then play it.
I don't have it anymore.
Oh, you're terrible. Make it back. We have to put that back in.
Listen, we have, or Matt has some kind of agenda against another podcast that we won't talk about.
No, it was just so funny, and I've been telling everyone that it was so great, like over here as well, and now everyone's gonna listen and they're not gonna hear it.
So you were sitting in the pit after like 15 days and listen, we have this awesome.
Yeah, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's fucking great," and now it's gone because you're scared.
He's setting it up, is what he's doing. He's setting up this whole thing, and now it's crumbling around him. Which is okay.
All around me.
Sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
You're worthless, Keith.
You guys are brutal.
Yeah. Oh, no, this is like an easy show.
Yeah, you should see our DMs.
No. Oh.
You guys are ball busters, like way worse than we are. Like, holy crap!
Yeah,
I know.
But I want to know why the American market thinks that we all hate them. I don't know where that came from.
No, see, okay, you have to
Do you
understand
feel that way
something.
too? Or?
I don't feel that way, but other people have said this, and they'll say like, hey, I don't think they like Americans. I'm like, they love Americans. They're just ball busting. You have to like put yourself aside for a second and just remember that you can't be a delicate snowflake. You have to like take your chops. You know what I mean? And that this is friendly banter that goes on about like what country is better and all of this shit, right? And it's just fun. It's just like when people like a specific football team or something. Most people get it, but a few people just do not get it. Which makes it even funnier, actually.
I think that's a huge difference. Like America is big. Like I was also American at one point. I've been here for too long now, but in Europe, you have all these different European states, and everybody thinks a different way, and we just we kind of joke between
you
the
get
countries.
along. Even you have cultural differences, you get along. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So no disrespect to the American people. We love you. We thank you for listening. And you can join us on Patreon at WFI Europe.
We have nothing against you.
Patreon.com.
It's just your imperial system sucks, and you stop using miles and gallons. And you're
Most
fine.
of us would agree with you, honestly.
I know.
And it's the truth, because the only reason we have to live with it is because you can't buy materials in metric sizes here. Like if I want to go buy, you could pay a lot more. Yeah, you could get it, but like if I wanted to get 5 millimeter plate steel, it's like good luck. You can't get it here, so we have to do everything in imperial.
Actually, I think the joke that has been made against me most at Blaze Show was like every time there was something that was like in gallons and they were like, I don't know what's the equivalent in metric, but fuck you. Just all the time with everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was good.
Well, gentlemen, at some point we have a heart out. We have a whole crew of crazy European and Australian folks showing up here probably in the next 5 minutes or so. And then I'm cooking dinner for all of them. So yes, I'm making a big meal for everybody. My one of my best my gifts, I will say, is my love language is service, and I really enjoy having these guys here. So for their last night here, I'm going to make them a steak dinner. We're going to sit down and sausages, of course, because Sausage Man is here.
You can expect some footage out of that.
Yeah, exactly. Sit around and eat together and have one final evening together, because we don't know when the next time is we'll see each other, so that'll be good.
Hopefully next year, right?
Hopefully next year, but maybe not in this capacity, where we can all sit down.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of people.
Yeah, then I just want to say thank you, Brian, for joining us. You've shared your wisdom with everybody in the knife making community. I'm sure. I mean, I've been listening to you since you started. We all appreciate you, and
he's gotten a little bit smarter than like when he was in the beginning, right?
I catch on. It takes a while.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Should we play the music now, or?
Oh, you have music? You didn't do the intro.
Is that a wrap?
That's a wrap for us.
We didn't get a chance, but Albert will edit it in, right?
Yeah, sure. I will. Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to us. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Titties.
Titties.
That's great.
I normally do that, but
I love that. That's really funny.
Very nice.